Hold on.
Wait,
Okay,
hold on
yeah.
for 1 second.
No, you're good.
Okay, maybe welcome. Thank you for
Which is my
thank you for inviting us over.
my
Marty?
non-Jewish name or my Jewish name?
I would state your name as you would like the record to show it.
My current name?
Yes. And your original name.
And my original name?
Yeah. Or maybe the evolution of your name.
Should I use Levine or
Both. Start with Levine.
Okay. Is it on?
It's on. You're on, hon.
My name is Paula Machtinger, Machtinger, originally Polish. My original name was Paula Levine from the Bronx, which when I moved to Hollywood at 12 or so, I decided was not very Hollywood-like. So I changed it to Levine, L-A-V-I-N-E, and which my dentist said to me, "Have you fooled anybody yet?" And it wasn't that I wasn't trying.
They do you remember this name change, Marty?
I remember, I don't remember why she had a name change. Pardon me. I knew it originally was Levine,
Right.
L-E-V-I-N-E.
Yeah.
And what year did you come out here?
I was 12, born 1924,
36 you came out here.
1936.
1936. Okay, I didn't come out here until I was about, I came out like a year or two after 1936. So I wasn't aware of whether you were Levine, Levine, or O'Shaughnessy. I had no connection to a name.
I was looking to marry an O'Shaughnessy.
And
It didn't work.
And Marty, maybe you could. I think my mom has revealed her age, advertently or inadvertently.
I'm 85 years old. I will be 86 this month.
So comparatively a child. Next to your elder, next to you, and maybe you could pronounce your name.
I have always pronounced it Lubner. People call me Lubner, but I always disliked the sound of lub. It sounded like schlub. But after a while, I'll answer like a dog to any food that's put before me.
You were able to keep your name,
Yes.
which is a blessing that men have much more than women.
Yes.
So you have this roots in your name that I wonder how meaningful that's been for you.
I never thought about it. It never occurred to me to really go back and say, what was a Lubner before it was Lubner?
I have a reaction to that. I don't know if it's appropriate,
Yeah.
but having come from a family where I did not know my father, since my mother left him when I was a year old,
A year old. Okay.
and never saw him. My older brother was about 7. So I grew up with the feeling of being abandoned by my father. So of course, I remember your father, and maybe you could talk about him.
And you remember him as a Lubner, obviously.
Well, I just remember I have a vision, I have a mental picture in my mind of what he looked like. I don't remember him being around a lot, but maybe Marty could speak to that.
It's interesting because I can't remember your father. Obviously, he wasn't around.
Never.
And the only thing I knew about him was that he had a liquor store or some kind of store.
Well, my grandfather
Oh, yeah.
set my mother and father up in business and bought them a liquor store.
Okay.
And my father, apparently the story goes, as I remember back, that my father was a womanizer. And my mother was away from the store a couple of hours, came back, and the other woman was in the back of the store. And my mother said, I want to look at her. And my father said, just a minute, I'll ask her. Well, that was so humiliating that I think it shook my mother up, and very soon after that she left.
Uh-huh. And she left, and where did she go to?
We moved to a small apartment in the Bronx.
Do you remember the address?
Well, 1710 Popham Avenue.
Yeah.
I don't know how much later that was.
And is that the address that you, so you, the two of you know each other, obviously, from having grown up as cousins. And is 17 Popham where you remember
1710 Pop.
1710 Popham
Yes.
In the Bronx.
in the Bronx? And then where did you live?
Where did I live?
You lived on St. Andrew or University, I forget.
No, I think the best memory I have was Popham Avenue. We also lived on Andrews Avenue.
St. Andrews.
And I'm not sure if you guys lived on Andrews Avenue at one point.
It was a block or two from Popham.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And, and what do you remember of what? So, my mom was there until she was 12. You were there until you were a little older than that. You came out here when you were a teen.
I came out here when I was about, we came out for a quick trip when I was about 10 or 11.
Mm-hmm.
I had spent a year in the hospital. I had something called empyema, which turned out to be an infection in my lungs, which required surgery. And I was going to say reconnaissance. I needed to recover, so to speak. So that year was taken up in a variety of hospitals, and then in like a rest home for children out on Long Island. And at that point, the doctor said, get this boy out where the weather is better for him. Because that lung problem needs not to be in this icy cold.
Had you been sick before that, or did that just come out of the blue?
I had pneumonia.
So some predisposition as a kid to getting lung issues.
Well, yeah, getting pneumonia first, and my mother's older sister was married to a, what would you call a physiotherapist?
A quack.
Well, a quack, but hoping that his knowledge would do some good, said, just give the boy 8 or 10 glasses of orange juice a day and he'll be fine. Well, I wasn't fine. And so I had to go for surgery where they removed part of my left lung.
Okay.
And put a drain in.
Well.
And that's what took so long in healing the infection.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember, like, when you were, are most of your most vivid memories as a kid of that period of time when you were having to go through so many operations and hospitalizations? Are those your most vivid memories of your childhood?
Certainly among them. I remember a kind of a joyousness of going out in the street and playing stickball, because my older cousin Erwin was notorious for getting picked up by the cops for playing stickball in the street and calling the cop a fucking bastard.
Go, Erwin.
I've told you that story. And then the cops took him to your mother, and your mother took him to our grandfather, who I didn't know. So the story may be apocryphal, but I love the story of Erwin going to your and my grandfather, and the grandfather saying, "Leave the boy to me, I'll take care of him." And then when they were alone, he said to Erwin, say it again, I'll give you a quarter." And that always endeared me.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that story in a long time.
That's the revolutionary roots in the
That's right.
in the clan,
Yeah.
actually. And then what else in terms of like on Popham, in that whole, who else was involved in that circle of family? Because I know the two of you, obviously, and then who were the family members who were part of the Bronx clan living in that environment at that time?
My sister Joy,
Uh-huh.
Erwin, as we've spoken.
Yep.
Aunt Olga and Uncle
Yeah, but they were in Manhattan.
Manhattan, that's true.
I mean, in terms of the Bronx, the only people involved were my father had a brother, an older brother named Aaron.
Uncle Aaron.
Uncle Aaron.
He
And
was in the shoe business.
he was in the shoe business, or any job lot. He sold job lots by like 12, how do you?
Companies, businesses.
No, it was, he would bring home a bag with 144 pairs of socks of the same color. And it was highly embarrassing for me to wear the same color socks every day, even though they could have been clean and washed.
Right.
And the end of that story is Lee W. Beelin, Uncle Chick,
Uncle Chick.
had a place out on Long Island, or I don't know where it was. And he invited me to stay for 2 weeks during the summer. And one day he comes home and he sees me and he yells, "For Christ's sake, can't you buy this kid another pair of socks? He's always wearing the same socks." I was aghast. And that's the story of Uncle Aaron, who was a lovely man.
And I remember the feeling of joy when you heard that Uncle Aaron was coming with a new bag of something.
Yes.
And then we get something
Yes.
free.
Yeah, what, do you remember anything he brought you?
No, but I remember the pleasure. Nothing specific. I don't think I wore any socks.
Well, stockings.
But
At the age of
I
7, you
remember-
probably wore silk stockings.
Or purse, I think he brought purses one time.
And so you were living with Grandma Ann and Irwin, and you were living with both your parents and your sister.
No. Living with my sister and my mother. My father and mother split up
Okay.
when I was like a year and a half or something.
So very similar to my mom. I didn't know that, and so Dot, was she known as Dot? What was her official name?
Dorothy.
Dorothy. Okay. You were raised by a single mom too.
Yeah. I would see my father maybe once a month, and he would take me for the pony rides or something in Central Park or to the automat. But essentially, I lived without a father. The difference being, my father was not a womanizer, and he was very much in love with my mother. The Beelan family, for some reason, managed to put a bad name on my father. And when my mother was pregnant with me, I think, she was living in Virginia. My father got a law degree in Virginia. He studied law. My mother's mother was living in New York.
Which is both of your grandmothers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and wanted my mother to have me in New York with her. Okay, so my mother, under that kind of pressure, moved to New York. My father, who could practice law in Virginia, could not practice law in New York. So he came to New York, and I don't know all the ins and outs, but eventually stories kind of abounded about my father. For example, Brett, that's one of the brothers.
Or one of the 6 of the siblings
Right.
from your parents.
Right.
Uncles, but parents.
Right. Uncle Brett once said to my mother or to Annie or to Uncle Chick or Eddie,